Ryan Fisher on the line with us, host of Focal Point Radio Show on AFR, the American Family Association's radio show, AFR Talk, Director of Issues and Analysis and Government and Public Policy with the American Family Association. That's afa.net is their website. Brian, welcome back to the program.
I'm good to be back with you.
Thank you. I understand that you are writing, saying, and ranting on the radio, and I say that in the best possible way. I rant on the radio, too, that people who believe in evolution should not be elected to public office in the United States. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Thomas Jefferson said, our rights come to us from a creator God. We should only have people in public office that agree with him.
That agree with whom?
With Thomas Jefferson.
Okay, and Thomas Jefferson said that he was, quite concerned about the priests. I mean, his boy, had I known you were going to bring him up, I'd have the quote right here in front of me. I'd read it to you. But, I mean, Jefferson was outspokenly opposed to the religious people of his day.
Well, he was not outspokenly opposed to the concept of a creator with a capital C, who is the source of every single one of our human and fundamental civil rights.
In every country, in every age, the priest has been hostile to liberty. Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson also said that there is a creator, and our rights are unalienable because they come to us as a gift from the creator, and the purpose of government is to protect the rights that come to us not from government, but come to us from God. We ought to have political figures, statesmen, who agree with him and understand the proper role of government and who believe in a creator who is the source of all of our rights.
Yeah, I really, you realize that it was Thomas Jefferson who wrote the Jefferson Bible, where he took out all of Jesus' miracles. You know that, Brian. It's still in print.
And I realize also that Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence that says there is a creator, that we are created beings, not evolved beings, and that our unalienable rights come to us as a gift from that creator with a capital C. I also understand that Thomas Jefferson wrote that.
He, this is remarkable that we're doing dueling Jefferson quotes here. Let me just find this here. Here it is. Well, he was talking about, he says, rats. A little patience, he said, and we shall see the reign of witches, their spells dissolved. He was talking about John Adams, actually, in that time.
Mm-hmm.
So why?
Well, you got to understand, part of Jefferson's objections to the clergy is they opposed his run for political office. They were his political adversaries, and he said nasty things about his political adversaries.
Well, no, it's more than that. Here, I've finally found the quote. The famous quote that's around the top of the Jefferson Memorial is, I have sworn forever, I've sworn on the altar of Almighty God, hang on just a second here. Here it is.
Eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
There you go. Okay, so let me read you the letter from which that quote came, okay?
That's fine.
This is a letter. This is a letter that he wrote to Ben Rush 3 months before he was elected president in 1800, and he started out by asking Ben Rush not to make the letter public. He said, "Dear Ben, I promised you a letter on Christianity, which I have not forgotten. I do not know that it would reconcile the genus irritable vetum, which is Latin for the angry priests, who are all in arms against me. Their hostility is on two interesting grounds to be softened. The delusion on the clause of the Constitution," he's talking here about the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of religion. The delusion on the clause of the Constitution, which, while it secured the freedom of the press, covered also the freedom of religion, has given to this clergy a very favorable hope of obtaining an establishment of a particular form of Christianity throughout the United States. And as every sect believes its own form to be the true one, everyone perhaps hoped for his own, but especially the Episcopalians and the Congregationalists. The returning good sense of our country by my election as president threatens abortion to their hopes And they, the preachers, believe that any portion of power confided to me, such as being elected president, will be exerted in opposition to their schemes. And they believe rightly, for I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. But this is all they have to fear from me, and enough, too, in their opinion. So there's Jefferson saying, you know, the tyranny over the mind of man that he has sworn eternal hostility to is Christianity.
No, it's his political opponents.
No.
You just proved my point that his opposition, his anger was directed at clergy, specifically clergy who opposed his election to office. So you just proved my point, and he was also the one that wrote the phrase "Almighty God." I have sworn upon the altar of Almighty God.
I know. I just read it to you.
Thomas Jefferson, Tom. So you just proved my point, both of them.
Okay. This is. I find this very interesting. So what are we? So you're saying, Brian, that we should only allow Christians to become. I'm going to stop debating Jefferson here with you. Let people look up their own Jefferson quotes. That only Christians should be allowed to run for political office. Why not Pastafarians? There was a guy who was just sworn in as a city council member last week with a strainer on his head, a believer in the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And, a good man. This is a church that has some fairly reasonable doctrines. You can look it up. Why not Pastafarians?
Well, the problem is that our civil rights will not be safe in the hands of anyone who does not understand, along with Thomas Jefferson, that these rights come to us from Almighty God, and therefore they must not be tampered with by the political hands.
But see, the Pastafarians know who that Almighty God is. It's the noodly flying spaghetti monster with his noodly appendages, and the Muslims know who the Almighty God is. It's Allah. And the Hindus know who that Almighty God is. And I mean, everybody's got their own notion of who that Almighty God is. Are you telling me that we should only allow people to be elected who believe in your Almighty God?
No, I'm not talking about passing some kind of a law prohibiting people from running from office. I'm not talking about that, Tom. I'm just talking about my counsel to the American people. Do not elect somebody to office who believes that God is the flying spaghetti monster, because if you do, your civil rights will not be safe.
And yet Christians will protect your civil rights because they, want to force you to carry a baby to term, even if you're raped, because they, I don't get it.
Well, abortion is a prime example of what we're talking about, Tom, because the first of the unalienable rights that Thomas Jefferson spoke of was the right to life. That right has been denied to 56 million unborn children.
So it is going to turn into an abortion debate. This is, please don't go there. I guess I'm just astounded, Brian. I'm just astounded that the secular democracy or democratic republic, the secular republic that Jefferson helped create, Jefferson who was so skeptical of religion, Jefferson who took a razor blade and cut all the miracles out of the Bible because he didn't believe in a miraculous God, that he would use that rhetorical flourish, that you would promote that. But
well, Tom, you're the one that has the problem. You look at the Jefferson Memorial. Every quote in the Jefferson Memorial refers to God with a capital G. The problem here, Tom, is not with me. It's with you. You have a very skewed understanding of Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, I've spent a fair amount of time at the Jefferson Memorial. I think that, like the letter I just read you should take those quotes in context. Brian Fisher, AFA.net is the website. Stick around.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Host of the Focal Point radio show on AFR Talk. Brian, thanks for dropping by.
All right, Tom, you bet.
Talk to you later.